You've heard of Rorschach ink blot tests, haven't you? Well, it turns out Laurence Fox is a Rorschach test who is exposing all that is wrong with the left. So, back to that ink blot on the nice, clean, simple worldview of the present regressive mindset. They like to call themselves progressive. They're not. Okay, whatever Fox says, whatever he comes out with, they read according to what's in their own brains, their prejudices, their seething little ponds of envy, their terror of difference. So you can be sure when someone on the left in this particular political climate accuses Fox of a specific bigotry, you can bet a case of Bollinger to a bottle of Newcastle brown ale that whatever they're accusing him of is whatever is foaming and boiling inside their own tiny little minds that they're trying to keep a tight lid on and not succeeding too well. I hadn't heard of Ava Evans, I have to confess. I hadn't heard of her before I made my last video. If you didn't see that, I'll put a link in the description, and if you're on YouTube, I'll put a link up there, whatever. I'll put a link there. But to explain briefly, Fox said that he thought she was an intolerant illiberal and he would never be induced to get into bed with her for all the tea in China, if I'm allowed to use that expression. It turns out that she found his comments hurtful. This from a woman who I later learnt likened men to a virus worse than the you-know-what. Thank you to all the people who left comments under my last video informing me about the history of this lady's literature. And before I talk about the reaction of Miss Evans' supporters, you know, the ones who are on the right side of her story, I shall remind you that I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter and Gab. The links are in the description. Also links if you want to donate. The generosity of some of you has enabled me to buy the new camera I've finally got up and running for this video. I hope you like it. I suppose there'll be some more adjustments as I learn more about it. But you don't have to donate to help me. You can give this video a like. That's really very useful. You can subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, click the bell button for notifications. And now, back to Mr. Rorschach. Up the cry went about misogyny when it was quite obvious that Fox's comments were personally directed towards her and her alone in the way that anyone would have the right to criticize someone they found particularly egregious. I did say in my last video that he was being rude. It wasn't necessary what he said. Frankly, he could have been a bit more, well, elegant. But misogynistic? No, only if you are actually looking for something or if that is already in your own head, like the old Soviet show trials did. And while we're talking about political organizations with a tendency to despotism and the financial corruption and incompetence that always follows in the train of autocracy, I present to you the reaction of the Scottish National Embarrassment. Oh, sorry, I mean the Scottish National Party, which is led by Humza Yousaf, who took it upon himself to sound off about Laurence Fox in the following way. Oh, no. Let's have a little fun before we do that. I shall sit here, I'll find the clip, and I'll play you just a minute or so of a speech given by Humza Yousaf to his adoring fans in the Scottish Parliament. All right, take it away, Humza.
When the most senior positions in Scotland are filled almost exclusively by those who are white. The Lord President, white. The Lord Justice Clerk, white. Every High Court judge, white. The Lord Advocate, white. The Solicitor General, white. The Chief Constable, white. Every Deputy Chief Constable, white. Every Assistant Chief Constable, white. The Head of the Law Society, white. The Head of the Faculty of Advocates, white. Every Prison Governor, white. And not just Justice. The Chief Medical Officer, white. The Chief Nursing Officer, white. The Chief Veterinary Officer, white. The Chief Social Work Advisor, white. Almost every trade union in this country headed by people who are white. In the Scottish Government, every Director General is white. Every chair of every public body is white. That is not good enough.
Right, if you weren't acquainted with the gentleman before, now you probably have an idea of the sort of person he is. Anyway, that sort of person branded Laurence Fox a vile Neanderthal after his comments on GB News, in which he talked about Ava Evans. The First Minister took aim at the former actor after he was suspended. Oh, this is from the STV website, by the way, the Scottish television channel. Right, let's have a look at what he actually said. Let's see if I can get it up here. Humza Yousaf branded Fox a vile Neanderthal. Well, you get the usual de-dum there, but what really interested me was this. I'm so sorry, he says, that Ava Santina, don't ask me, I thought she was called Ava Evans, had to listen to this. It is why men have to step up and challenge misogynistic abuse whenever we see it. So I thought this is an opportunity for you, Humza, because I have found something that you might be able to do something about. It's this, in the Telegraph. Westminster SNP colleagues gave me panic attacks, says MP. This is Dr. Lisa Cameron, who claims she was ostracised after speaking out against, it says here, sex pest co-worker. Apparently this chap, whoever he was, I suppose he's named in here, pressed his attentions on his female colleagues, and when she spoke out about it, well, let's just read. She repeated allegations she made last week that she was ostracised for speaking out against a sex pest colleague they had been ordered to support. So people in the party knew that this guy was acting badly, and particularly against women, Humza, and they were told to shut up about it and just toe the party line. Patrick Grady, the Glasgow North MP, was found guilty of sexual misconduct after making an unwanted advance to a party worker who was only 19 at the time. Obviously, this Dr. Cameron must have had some experience of Mr. Grady. Dr. Cameron's rift with her colleagues was triggered by Mr. Grady being suspended from the Commons for 2 days. A leaked recording emerged last year of Ian Blackford, then the SNP's Westminster leader, urging MPs to rally around him. After she decided to, well, not follow the line so closely, for months people wouldn't speak to me. Some people, when I would go into a room, would just behave as though I wasn't there. I'm not saying people should have to speak to someone if they don't wish to, but it felt very much like a group bullying mentality, almost like a sort of team bully. Oh, Dr. Cameron, it was bullying. You're not being honest with yourself. They were having a go at you because you were a woman and you were speaking out. They were the very embodiment of misogyny, especially after this fellow had been pestering a 19-year-old. Yep, so that's it. That's the SNP's stance on misogyny. I just thought you might be interested. And Rorschach tests, which Laurence Fox has become. Okay, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.